wants to watch it again. All right. So thank you all so much for being here this evening. It's really great to see you. I'm just going to change my view. There we go. And there we go. Okay. So tonight we're going to share a practice of classical pranayama. And what I really wanted to do was teach from my experience of having come to classical pranayama as, I suppose, a relatively advanced freediver, and really seen how active my own ego was in my spiritual practice. And that was a really big lesson for me. And I think that that's something that we can all benefit from, because I think very often we're not aware of how active our ego is in what we're doing. We just are living very, very habitually without really thinking so much about what we're doing and how we're doing it. And even though I'd gone to do this pranayama training, I was very much still in that mindset of, you know, I've got to prove how good I am and how well I can do this. And, you know, of course, I've got to be the best because of my freediving career. And actually, it's not really a surprise that that happened, because it's a spiritual practice is a very, very easy place to slip up as well in terms of our relationship to our ego. I meditate every day. You don't meditate every day? Oh, you know, so any of you who have had some kind of regular meditation practice, pranayama practice, spiritual practice, you're probably aware of the very tricky part of ourselves, the spiritual ego, which gets activated when we practice. And for me, this classical pranayama practice was so, so helpful in stepping back from that and really allowing myself to be in this space of no rush, no push, no proving anything, just learning how to create a really calm, still environment in my body. And for that to be the focus, for that to be my goal, was peace, rather than any kind of acknowledgement from my teacher or comparing myself to other students or anything like that. So maybe in that short introduction, some of you, you know, it might resonate on some level. And if that's the case, then I just invite you to acknowledge it and be gentle with yourself, because it's something that we all do. And yeah, and to allow yourself just to explore this practice with the beginner's mind. Even if you are, like I was, you know, an advanced freediver with a lot of experience of breath work, even if you're a freediving instructor, you're a pranayama instructor or whatever, just try to come to this with a beginner's mind, to allow yourself that space to just explore without judgment and be fully in your curiosity. It's a beautiful quality of spirit, curiosity, and it can help us to just look at life with eyes, without the filters, without the judgment. Okay. So I have a cat here. You might hear her. So I'm going to focus primarily on one practice, because what I want to do is to really kind of break apart the nuts and the bolts of a classical pranayama session. And the first thing, of course, is how we breathe. Now, this is something that I've seen again and again, not only in freedivers, but yoga students and in meditation and pranayama students, is that the breath comes in, but it gets blocked. And there's not a lot of access to this deeper belly breath, not much access into a longer inhale, a deeper inhale, and then therefore a more extended exhale. And it's this relationship between the inhale and the exhale and extending and lengthening, which has the strong, powerful effect on our nervous system. And so this is really the fundamental part of us being able to find that calm space within ourselves, create that calmness within ourselves through a better control over our breath, a better mastery over our breath, of deepening the inhale and extending the exhale. So I'm just going to start really at this very basic beginning point of explaining the inhale as if we're all beginners. And normally when we're breathing unconsciously, we're going about our daily life, the breath is quite shallow and short, and it tends to be mainly in the upper chest. And probably as you've been sitting here listening to me talk, that's where you've been breathing as well. The unconscious breath is almost no effort at all. The diaphragm is just moving gently up into the rib cage for the exhale, and then drawing down to invite an inhale. And we don't really feel that, and we're not really conscious of it. And so the air is just moving in and out. We call it sort of a tidal breath, in and out of the upper part of the lungs. So in order to make the breath deeper, we need to start to engage the lower muscles of the abdomen and even the pelvic floor. So the pelvic floor are the muscles which sit across the base of your body. They're the muscles that we engage for holding when we need to go to the bathroom. And there's so much complex connective tissue in there. We use the pelvic floor is our foundation also for walking, connecting the pelvis into the upper body. And so we want to have our awareness much further down here. So where we start is just thinking about relaxing the belly as we inhale. And it helps actually to starting with the exhale. So if you will do a nice long deep exhale, and you can breathe through your nose or through your mouth, whichever feels more comfortable for you this evening. And you'll feel, as you go to the end of that exhale, you'll feel that the stomach wall muscles start to come in a little bit automatically. And then as you start to think about an inhale, that contraction in your lower belly will release. Your belly will expand outwards a little bit. And then you breathe in. And so we're just going to do that without too much technique, just exhaling and pulling the stomach wall in to exhale a little bit further than you would normally do. And then relaxing the belly, feeling the inhale coming automatically as we relax, and then breathing in a little bit more into the upper chest. And exhaling, contracting the belly. And inhaling, relaxing the belly. We'll do that 3 more times. Contract the belly to exhale. Relax the belly to inhale. 2 more in your own time. And so building on from here, the exhale will remain more or less the same, contracting the belly to exhale, but just see if you can squeeze a little bit more air out, but without forcing. You begin the inhale by allowing the belly to expand, breathing in, down into the belly. And then you might reach a point where you feel that the lungs in the chest are starting to get full, but you can't inhale anymore. At that point, I want you to, again, just gently tense the abdominal without pulling them in, but just generate some tension in the abdominal wall. And that should give you the sensation of being able to inhale a little bit more deeply into the chest. So we'll just practice that. So exhale, relax your shoulders, relax your chest. Contract the belly in to exhale, nice, long, long exhale. And the inhale, relax the belly, expand. Keep breathing in. And then when you feel you can't breathe anymore, a little bit of tension in the abdominal wall and expand up into your chest. Exhale. Contracting the belly all the way in, pulling it in. And then begin the inhale, rounding and softening the belly, drawing the air down first of all. And as you feel you want to inhale into the chest, tension in the abdominal wall and expand into the rib cage. So you're going to do 3 more cycles of that, looking to extend the inhale a little bit further and the exhale a little bit longer on those next 3 breaths. Just look to slow things down. And the last thing that I want you to focus on at this stage is the muscles in your throat. Now we can constrict these muscles so that the throat becomes narrower, so that the air is being forced through, instead of a large tube, more like a straw. And this will enable you to slow the breath down even more and to have a sensation of more control from the belly through the diaphragm and up into the chest and upper back muscles. So experiment with just narrowing your throat down and see if that helps you to slow the breath down even more. This is called Ujjayi breath, Ujjayi breath. And you'll find it in most yoga classes and all pranayama teaching. And it's really a very valuable way to help us promote that feeling of calm throughout our nervous system. And all the way through this, you should have a sense of being really relaxed. There shouldn't be an increase in your heart rate or your pulse. There shouldn't be a feeling of heat generating inside of you. Should really be about slowing all of the systems down, switching off any fight or flight, and coming into a deep parasympathetic zone for the nervous system. If anyone has any questions, you can raise a hand or you can unmute at this stage. And otherwise, I just like you to stay with this breath and keep experimenting for a few more moments with your own breath, your own body, feeling how it moves, how you can control it, how you can allow a deeper inhale and extend your exhale a little bit longer. Observe any judgment about what you're doing coming up in your mind and try to let it go. Remember the beginner's mind, curiosity and playfulness, essential. Okay. And you can continue while you listen to me. You can open your eyes or keep them closed, whatever feels most comfortable for you at this moment. So we're now going to start layering in some of the techniques. So there's a question, do you reverse the sequence when exhaling with abs, chest, lower belly? Yeah, so the exhale is really a letting go. So what you may have all noticed, thank you, Casimir, what you may have all noticed or not, took me quite a few years before I became, there's two phases to each part of the breath. So we have the inhale and the exhale. And within the inhale, there's two parts. And within the exhale, there's two parts. And that is a passive and an active phase. Okay, so when we are fully exhaled and the belly is pulled in nice and tightly, simply relaxing the belly allows air to come back in again. Okay, you can just try that full exhale out. You can keep the throat locked. And as soon as you relax the belly and release the throat, some air comes in. So that is your passive inhale. And then beyond that, it becomes an active inhale, where you're actually having to engage the muscles of the diaphragm, the intercostal muscles, the upper back slightly, and if you're doing a really full inhale, the shoulders. The same is true then for the exhale, when you're nice and fully inhaled and the diaphragm is stretched down, the intercostals are expanded outwards, then the first part of the exhale is passive. Yeah, we do that when we sigh. The passive exhale. And then we go into the active phase where we're again having to engage muscles to further deepen the exhale. So that is then pulling the belly in and guiding the diaphragm up more consciously for a deeper exhale. So in terms of reversing the sequence, yes, the inhale starts with the belly expanding and then moving up to fill the chest. And then when we exhale, we will find that the chest empties. And the last thing that we do to empty the lungs to complete that exhale is contraction in the belly. Thank you, Casimir. Were there any other questions? No. Okay. Feel free to just put something in the chat or unmute yourself or wave. So what we want to do next is to look at the ratio of breathing in classical pranayama. And this is 1 to 2. Okay, so the ratio means that the inhale as a 1, the exhale as a 2, the exhale will be twice as long as your inhale. So some of you may have been doing that automatically with or without counting. And some of you may suddenly think, wow, that's going to sound like a really long, scary exhale. I'm not sure I can do that. This is where the ujjayi comes in very handy. So narrowing the throat to slow everything down. And trusting yourself. And this was something that I learned quite early on in my breathwork practice, trusting yourself to go to the end of an exhale, because we don't go there very often. And there's fear attached. There's fear to a sense of lack. I'm not going to have enough air. And then that might trigger a more panicky inhale. But to talk to yourself as you do these practices, if you do find some anxiety coming up, that every time you inhale, it's not just going into your lungs, it's filling your whole arterial system. Your body is fully oxygenated. As we sit here now and I talk and you listen, we're at 99 to 100% oxygenated. And that doesn't leave suddenly when we exhale, because it's all busy passing around the body in the bloodstream. So even though you fully exhale, there may be some mental anxiety that arises around that, but you can talk yourself through it by knowing that your body is fully oxygenated. You've got so much oxygen in you at the end of that exhale that you can talk yourself into just relax, everything's okay. And then begin that inhale and try to allow it to be calm and not panicky or gaspy. Okay, so we're going to practice with that ratio first of all. Now, you can count 1, 2, 3, 4 to inhale. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 to exhale is an example of a cycle. I prefer to use mantra so that I'm not using numbers, because numbers come with judgment. So I use mantras from the Kundalini tradition. So depending on what your breath cycle is going to be, if you're a 2 to 4 or a 4 to 8, and you've got it divides by 2, you could have Sat Nam and repeat Sat Nam a few times. I use Satanama, which gives me the 4 to 8. So it's Satanama to inhale and Satanama to exhale. If you're on a 5 to 10 or a 3 to 6, yeah, you need an odd number in there. I use this one. Oh, wah, not was. Wah. Hey. Oh, that's the typo. That's not me. Okay. It's the computer saying that word doesn't exist. Wah, hey, guru. Okay. So that would give you a 3 to 6 ratio. Or you could do Wah, hey, guru, sat nam to give yourself a 5. You can play around with these. So what we're going to do to start with is to find our ratio. Like, what is your 1 to 2? Are you a 3 to 6, a 4 to 8, a 5 to 10? And the thing is here, there might be a tendency to want to go bigger and then maybe find that it's too challenging and fall back. So I would say start lower. And also, if you feel that you want to change either downwards or upwards, give yourself 3 cycles, at least 3 cycles of a fixed ratio before you make that decision, because it will take time for your body to catch up with the breath cycle that you're practicing. Okay, so if you decide to start on 3 to 6, and by round 2 you're like, oh, this is so easy, give yourself at least another 2 or 3 cycles before you really make a judgment to say, okay, yeah, I'm going to go to 4 to 8. All right. And we'll see how we get on. So this is for each of you to experiment and find what is your optimal 1 to 2 ratio with the breath, looking at all of the techniques that we've used already of extending the breath, slowing the breath down, using ujjayi, and also remembering you're totally safe. Any feeling of panic arising is more from habitual breathing, habitual shallow breathing, and you can reassure yourself. Yeah, you can kind of parent yourself through any anxiety that comes up to know that you're okay. All right. So if there are any questions, you can put them in the chat, and otherwise we will just start the breath work now. And from this point onwards, when we're breathing, And counting, I will have this metronome. Can you all hear that? Yeah? That just gives you your 1. So it keeps it steady, so you don't have to worry about how quickly or how slowly you're counting. That's done for you. All right, so we'll take a few minutes with this and see how we get on. Think about how you're using the muscles in the belly, the chest, the upper back. Having the courage to go to the end of your exhale and calmly inhaling again. And remember, there should be no sense of excitement or heat generated in the body through this practice. If there is, take a little step back. If you're feeling like it's really very easy on the inhale and the exhale, then you can experiment with deepening the inhale, lengthening the exhale. Always in the ratio of 1 to 2. Okay, so just finishing at the end of that exhale. So hopefully you're starting to feel confident with your 1 to 2 ratio and feeling where that is now, and also starting to feel quite relaxed, hopefully, as well. Does anyone have any questions at this point? Because we're going to add in breath hold to the practice now. How full? That's a great question, Ted. Yeah, thank you. How full should we be at the end of the inhale? So free divers, of course, are looking for 110% when they inhale. In classical pranayama, like I mentioned, there's no excitement, there's no raising of the pulse. So you're looking probably more to around 70 to 80% of full. And your full is going to be different to somebody else's full. So it shouldn't feel stressful, or you shouldn't feel that there's a lot of pressure inside of the lungs at the end of the inhale. Okay. Any other questions? Okay. So we're going to add in the breath hold. And this is, this takes a little bit of practice, funnily enough, for the free divers. Because even though we're the ones that are really used to holding our breath, in order to hold the breath in a classical pranayama, we do a full Jalandhara bandha, which is a full neck lock. So of course a free diver will take a huge breath in, will pack, and will just sit there like this, holding with the strength of the glottis. Now in classical pranayama, because we're working with the energy, and we want the energy to be contained down here, we don't want anything going up and disturbing the energy of the mind. Yeah, this is all about calm, relaxation, bringing the nervous system down. So we do not want energy pushing upwards. So the full Jalandhara bandha is used here, which is keeping the spine straight, and the top axis, the last two vertebrae, which connect into the skull, you tilt through that axis. So I'm not bringing my head forwards, I'll sit sideways, maybe that would be easier. Yeah, so what I'm not doing is this. It's this axis through here. Yeah, pulling the chin in while keeping the spine nice and straight. Okay? And on top of that, again, sorry free divers, we also block both nostrils. So the mudra that we have when we integrate the breath hold into classical pranayama is this. Okay, there you go, you see it better against the fire. So the thumb out, the index and the middle finger tucked in, and the ring finger and the little finger extended. And it's these extended fingers that control the breath. Okay, so this is how you clamp the nostrils. So at the end of the inhale, when you begin your hold, the hand comes to the nose and the head tilts down. And then when you're ready for your exhale, you release. Okay, so that will take some practice to get it automated. It took me quite a long time to get into the habit of doing that. And then the next question is, how long is the inhale? So we're going to start for everybody on a 1-1-2 ratio. Okay, so if you are inhaling for 4 and exhaling for 8, you'll hold the breath for 4. And we're just going to do a few cycles of that to get used to the breath hold. We've now got the mudra as well, Jalandhara bandha. There's a lot of new stuff coming in. So we're going to keep the breath hold really comfortable for everybody. Okay, so you inhale, whatever your inhale was before, your breath hold is the same length as your inhale, and then your exhale is twice the length of the inhale. Okay, 1-1-2 ratio. So the right hand rests on the knee. When you begin your inhale, you breathe in, hand to the nose, chin tucks in, hold the breath, release the hand back to the knee, raise the head and exhale. Okay, so we're going to work with a metronome again. You can work with counting, or you can work with a mantra if that was working for you last time. Stick with the ratio that you had at the end of the last breath work practice, if that was working for you. and just integrate the breath hold. Try not to play around with the ratios anymore at this stage. All right, off we go. So remember to use the hand as well as the neck lock on your breath holds. So I want you to continue for 3 more rounds, and those of you who feel that they've got plenty of space in the practice can extend to a 1-2-2 ratio so that the breath hold becomes the same length as the exhale now. Only for those of you who are feeling really, really comfortable. Otherwise, please stay with the 1-1-2. That is perfectly fine, particularly if you've never done breath work before. 1-1-2. And when you finish those 3 cycles, you can just relax. If you want to move around a little bit, change your posture, have a sip of water, please do so at any time. Okay, so hopefully now you're all at a stage where you found your comfortable 1-to-2 ratio, and you also know whether on the breath hold whether you're a 1-1-2 or a 1-2-2. Okay, and I would invite you to stay with this now for the rest of the session. Okay, if you're a 1-1-2 or a 1-2-2, and whatever that is, if it's a 4-8 or a 6-12 or wherever you feel that you're comfortable, stay with that now for the rest of the practice. So does anyone have any more questions at this stage? No? Okay, good. So I'm going to introduce one last technique for practice, and this is if you're practicing on your own, and rather than practicing for time in classical pranayama, we practice for a certain number of rounds. So then the question arises, how do you count your breath, the counts for your inhale, your 4-8, how are you counting that and the breath hold, and keeping hold of how many cycles of the breath that you've done? So let's say if you wanted to do 10 cycles of this breath practice, your right hand is your mudra for the breath hold, and your left hand becomes your abacus, your counting machine. So your thumb is the counter, and on the other 4 fingers you have 4 points. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay? So if I wanted to do 10 rounds, on my left hand, which would be resting on my knee, my first round, my second round, my third round, my 4th round, 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th, 9th, 10th. Okay? So this hand is my counting hand for the rounds. This hand is my mudra. Okay? So that's just a final little technique which you can use if you're practicing on your own, or if you go to a practice where they say, okay, we're going to do 10 rounds of Nadi Shodhana. Okay? Which is actually what we're going to do. So Nadi Shodhana is a really very, very well-known practice, and for a very good reason. It's sort of the balancing breath. So this is, you may know it as alternate nostril breathing. So this is where we are going to change which side we are inhaling and exhaling for each cycle. So for me, I see it as the shape of an A. So I will start inhaling through my left nostril. I will hold. I will exhale through the right. Then I inhale through the right. I hold. And I exhale through the left. 1 round. Okay? So that's what we're going to do now. With the breath ratio that you have found is working best for you at the moment, your 1-to-2, and your breath hold either a 1 or a 2. But of course we're going to have 2 cycles of the breath for each cycle, because we inhale once on the left and once on the right. That is 1 cycle of Nadi Shodhana. Okay? And we're going to do 10 cycles. 10 cycles if you are doing a 1-1-2, and if you're a 1-2-2, you do 8 cycles. Okay? So that we finish roughly at around the same time. If you get into a muddle with the counting and the everything else that's going on, leave this counting and I will just close it off when I see that most people have finished. Okay? So don't get yourself in a muddle mentally. This is much more about having the experience, feeling your breath, and allowing this very, very gentle balancing breath to bring an even greater degree of calm. The balancing is recognizing that we are each formed of two energies, the masculine and the feminine, the moon and the sun, the left and the right. So by breathing in this way, the cold air hits the brain on the different side each time, and this, with the long inhale and the extended exhale and the breath hold, we have a direct impact then on the nervous system. And hopefully by the end of this, you'll all be ready for bed early, very early in Ted's case in America. Okay, so I will stop talking now unless anyone has any questions before we go into this final cycle. Everyone okay? All right. So here's your metronome. Begin when you feel ready. You can take a couple of breaths just to get yourself calm and settled. So you'll inhale, you will close your right nostril to begin inhaling through the left. Block and release. So this right hand now does not leave your face. This is what you will do the whole way through. So most people that I can see, I think, have finished. So if you're still breathing, just rounding off with your final exhale. Thank you, Tim. Thanks for being here. Okay. All right. So that is basically sort of the foundation for a classical pranayama practice in terms of working with a full inhale and a full exhale, working with the ratios, and working with the breath hold, and then being able to count the rounds by yourself for your personal practice. So this is a practice that I share with my group. I have a group coaching journey, and we're going to be starting again in April, and this is the breath that kind of is the foundation for all that we do, is finding balance. And it's been super helpful for me in my life. It's been quite eventful over the last few years. Those of you who may or may not know, but I lived through the volcano on La Palma a year and a half ago, unexpectedly, obviously, and yeah, it's been quite challenging. But this is a really great practice whenever you're feeling that the world is a little bit rocky underneath you or a bit crazy around you, to just get grounded back into your own energy and to feel like actually in here there is always the opportunity for calm and peace. No matter what is going on around us, we always have this opportunity to come home to our own center, our own heart, and find calm and peace and refuge there. I just want to talk a little bit about my other coaching programs. So I do one-to-one coaching online, and I also do free dive coaching using my video course. So if anyone is interested and would like to have a little bit of support, what I focus on is the mental, emotional, and spiritual process that we go through when we enter the water, or when we're going through life. It's kind of the same thing. But it's really about learning a little bit about what we looked at tonight. It's not what we achieve, it's not the numbers that are important, it's the experience that we have along the way, the journey that we allow ourselves to have, and how our thoughts will be the seeds that we sow for how that experience unfolds, whether that is pleasurable and fun and expansive, or whether it feels frightening and contracted and challenging. So I would, if anyone wants to follow up, I'm offering free sort of discovery calls. If anyone just wants to sort of have a chat and find out a little bit more, then there's a link in the newsletter to book that in with me if you're interested. And if anyone has any questions about the practice or anything in general, then I'm going to hang around here for as long as necessary this evening. It would be nice to have a little chat and hear how you all are. Oh, thank you, Charlotte. Yeah, Charlotte's been with me now for about 2.5 years on this journey, and she's just signed up for another chunk. So it can't be too bad. So yeah, if anyone wants to stay and have a chat about their free diving or this practice that we shared this evening, or anything else that is going on, then I will be here and would love to have a chat with you all. Sorry that Julien couldn't make it. He's not sure when he will be able to join us, but we will try and reschedule this, maybe for the summer or the autumn, the Tumo practice, for those of you who are particularly interested in meeting him and joining him for that. I will be offering some more practices online like this over the coming months, and also interviews with inspiring freedivers and inspiring people, full stop. So I hope to see you again. So I'm going to round it up here. Thank you all so much. And please unmute yourself, either for a bye, I've got to go, have a nice evening, or anything that you'd want to share or ask. Thank you all so much.
Bye, Sarah. Thank you.
Bye. Great to see you.
Ciao.
Bye bye. Thank you so much.
Bye, Sara, darling. I'll see you
Ciao,
soon.
ciao.
See you Friday. Bye-bye. Thank you, Marin. Thank you, Rock. Thank you, Jennifer.
Thanks, Sarah.
Who was that? Mark.
Yeah.
Thank you, Mark. Good to meet you.
And you. Thank you.
Thank you for being here. Thanks, David. Thank you, Andrea. Thank you, Anastasia. George. It's a pleasure to be here for you all. Patricia, Casimir. Alfred, yes.
I got a quick question.
Go. Yeah, please.
So I guess I get a little confused. So at one point I saw you say you do this, then you hold, and is it always is there any one nostril that's you inhale and exhale, or is you're always switching nostrils on every inhale and every exhale?
So one cycle is inhale left, hold,
Yeah.
inhale right, hold.
Okay, so you go through. Okay, that makes sense. Okay, but that's with an A. That makes sense. Okay.
And then that
Yep.
way. And
Okay.
you just going backwards and forwards. Yeah. There are practices where you would only inhale through the left or only inhale through the right. They have different energetic focus. But for the Nadi Shodhana, which is the balancing one, in and out, in and out. And
What is that called again? We did not.
I'll type it. Nadi
Just about ask you to do that.
Shodhana or Anulam Villam. It seems to have two names.
Got it. Awesome.
Or alternate, if you don't want the Sanskrit, alternate nostril breathing. And it's in my program, actually. There's a video where I share alternate nostril breathing, so you'll find it also in there, but not taught with, all of the detail that we had this evening for this class specifically. Yeah.
I have a question.
Yes, George. Hi.
Hi, nice to see you again. It's been a long time. Just curious, on the breath holding, is there a difference internally, like spiritually, emotionally, and with different nervous systems, and whether you hold the breath on the in breath or the out breath?
Okay, so what I know about this is in classical pranayama, there's only ever, or what I've experienced in classical pranayama, that is only ever holding on the inhale, not on the exhale. But what I do know about holding on the exhale is that it can actually help to promote deeper relaxation as long as it's not overdone. So it's a little bit more of a calming, grounding.
Yeah.
Hold on with the exhale, but that can take a bit of practice because it, that what I talked about, the anxiety of the emptiness, can get quite easily triggered when you're holding on an exhale breath hold. Are you a free diver?
Yeah. Haven't free dived for a long time, but I was with you in Dahab in 2015.
Yeah, you used to date Helena, right?
Yeah, back in the day.
Okay, yeah, I was thinking it's you. Nice to, well, I can't see you, but nice that you're here.
My camera doesn't work.
Okay, yes. So sorry, now I've lost. I've gone back into the in the Arisha. Yeah, so you tell about your free diving. So I mean, you're used to doing extended breath hold and exhale breath holds for FRCs and that kind of stuff. George? Hello? Did I lose you? George? Oh, it looks like he's gone. Maybe he'll come back in a moment. Okay. Did anyone else have a question? Others of you sitting patiently in the room. I don't know if it's because you particularly want to ask something.
So you just talked about the holds on the exhale. As a free diver, I'm comfortable with that. Is there any value in adding that into what we just did, or is that like a whole separate thing? I should just focus on what we did, is do the inhale, hold, and exhale.
I mean, what I'm sharing with you is what I've received in classical pranayama, which sort of comes through this long lineage of yogis.
Okay.
And I've never done an exhale hold in that, but in my Kundalini teaching, we do the box breathing. So with the inhale, hold, exhale, hold. So you can do it, and you can integrate it, but just try to also look at, okay, I'm still calm on the inside, I'm not generating heat, I'm not kind of causing any energy to rise. Look for a practice that is grounding and calming and parasympathetic focus.
Yeah. Not turning this into a freediving exercise.
Yeah, exactly.
Which I'm sure freedivers have a tendency to do. They want to jack all the times up, and then
Have contractions.
it's nice to do. I think there's a lot of value, and actually that's something I would like to anyway, I want to go to the whole thing, but I think there's I think there's a lot of value in when I've done it is just easy breath holding, not freediver breath holding, just breath holding. You know, I find when I do stuff like that, it is very, very calming and relaxing, and has none of the unfun part of the freediver side of it.
Exactly. Yeah, you get the benefits without the suffering. I mean, this practice, you know, and I've seen more advanced practitioners in my trainings when I've been, you know, there as a student, you know, they are actually going up to 1:4:2 ratios, but always calm, always without pushing. And actually the teacher will come around and check your pulse, which is what happened to me. You know, I say I got my ass kicked. You know, I was like, right, okay, here we go. And then he's like, come here, let me check your pulse. And he was like, and the first prescription I got when I left the ashram, 102.
Yeah.
I was like, what?
Well, they did it this. Okay, that's funny.
Because he totally saw me. He totally saw me. I was so in my ego, and yeah, so it was a really humbling experience for me, but ultimately extremely helpful. And yeah, I'm really grateful for it. 102. I was like, do you know who I am?
Oh, that's great.
Oh dear.
All right, well, look, I'm gonna run. Thank you so much. This was awesome. It was great to see. I'm actually relaunching those summit videos soon, so I went through and watched some of the videos. So I watched our video, so it was funny to see just recently announced seeing you live in person.
Yeah, it's good to see you. Yeah, well, say hi to Kathy and the dogs, and
Right, I will. Yeah, we'll do.
that's enough. Hi, darling. Patricia. Hey.
Hey, I really love this this session. I mean, I practiced pranayama before, mostly in the context of freediving. I really appreciated this one.
Thank you. It's great.
Because I really like the focus or how you orientated, saying, hey, just forget everything, start as a beginner. And I think that's a really nice exercise for anything that you do in your life, especially if you are experienced. So that was really, really great. So I wanted to thank you about that. And just a question that might be, so here's the thing, doing this kind of exercise before freediving, I have had the most calm, relaxed, and blissful dives in my life, like coming up, like I don't even want to get out. Like, keeping going up because there's your safety and your instructor, and you have to, but not really wanted to.
Yeah.
That was in a moment in which I was having constant throat squeezes. And I was convinced, or everybody was convinced, actually, everybody I was talking to, because I was very anxious or nervous or whatever, because I was having squeezes at 20 meters, always exactly at 20 meters. It was after one of the most calm, not the most, but one of the most calm down dives in my life. And then I made it to 22 and I had a squeeze again. And I keep having squeezes and I don't know what it is anymore.
Okay, it's still happening.
Still happening. It cannot pass 20 meters. And it's not like I'm not calm enough, or maybe something is here, but I don't even know. So if you have any clue of way to, I mean, I'm not very sure if it's that I cannot equalize properly. It feels like I can, but just feel this pressure on the throat, and then I have a squeeze, and then I'm out of the water for some time. So if you have any clue at all, I will sign up for any program or any private classes that will help me with that, because I'm really desperate. It's been years like that.
Yeah.
And sometimes I'm like, what doesn't matter. I can stay on my 20 meters and be happy and just have fun dives. But it's also a little bit desperate.
Okay. What's the longest break you've given yourself to heal between squeezes?
Oh, super long, because actually I'm not in a geographic place that I can dive very often,
Okay.
like do deep dives very often. It's north of Portugal, which is quite wavy. There's not many people doing free diving if it's not for spear fishing, so I don't really do it that often.
Okay. Okay. And when you're diving, I mean, you've said to me that, you've had these dives when you feel so relaxed that you don't want to come up, but you were still squeezing on those? Or they
No.
were
One of them, yes. That was my 23 meters.
but you felt good.
It felt good. Yeah, felt really good. It was feeling good. I was so relaxed that actually it felt what I normally feel, which is kind of a tension on the throat. But I was like, it's all on my mind. I can keep going. So I kept going. I was like, look, maybe not. So I came back.
Okay. Have you done flexibility work on your lungs and your airways and your chest?
Not up here, not really, no.
Okay.
No.
Because, I mean, any kind of flexibility work around here is going to help, because what happens is, as you go down, you get deeper. If the rib cage reaches its maximum degree of flexibility, or any of the tissues reach their maximum degree of flexibility, and you keep going, the gases inside will still compress. And so then you get tension between the walls of the lungs and the tissues around. And this is also what's happening in the trachea. Now, I'm sure that you will have heard everything that I've got to say probably already. Trachea can be caused by head in this position.
Yeah.
Looking for the bottom of the rope, any kind of jerky movements with the head. So, I mean, the first thing I would say is that you really need to dive in this sort of much more closed position. You can even exaggerate it, pull the shoulders forwards, pull the head forwards. And one thing that may be a lot less obvious is your knees. What? So a lot of people dive and their legs are rigid, they're like this. If the knees are really extended and straight, this means that there's tension up through the whole of the legs, coming into the pelvis. The pelvis is tense, which means then the pelvic floor, mulla bandha, gets pulled down, is engaged and is tight. That then puts pressure on the internal organs, which stops the diaphragm from being able to rise up and stops the whole compression. And it's also just a signal that there is tension somewhere, mental tension. Could be in your jaw. And we live with mental tension all the time, and we're not aware of it, because it's part of our society, it's part of our education, it's part of our upbringing. So we just don't even realize that we're living with constant tension. I woke up in the middle of the night last night, and I could feel my jaw was really tense. And just the words came to me, resist nothing. And as I heard those words coming to me, it was like, oh, my body melted back into bed. I was like, how ridiculous. I'm asleep at night and I'm tense about, I mean, I've got a slightly challenging house hunting situation, which is why I am in this position. But we do it all the time. It's so much a part of us that we don't even realize it's there. So it could be that you think that you're relaxed. The knees are a really good point to look at, because most people will have extended straight knees. That tension will be going all the way up can even affect equalization. It could be that you're doing something funky with your equalization and sucking up air, some kind of reverse pack movement, but you say
I
that you
think so, because at some point I'm like doing this, like I feel like I'm somehow trying to bring air. I think it's something I do unconsciously. Somehow I'm trying to bring air from down there, but not opening. So I don't know. I think I cannot have my glottis closed or something, and I don't know why.
I mean, it may just be that there's this sound, which we do to kind of pull air up. And what I'm seeing from what you're telling me with the noise, and I think I'm pulling air up, the fact that you feel that you need to pull air up at 20 meters is probably a sign that you're instinctively recognizing that the air available for equalization is starting to run out. And so you're instinctively trying to draw air up. Now, the fact that that's already happening at 20 meters suggests to me that there is tension here. And so your lungs are not able to keep compressing. If they were able to keep compressing, then the air would still be able to move up. But if your belly is tight, your diaphragm gets blocked, and the lungs get stuck at a certain size, if you keep diving, the weakest point is going to then suffer a pressure-related injury. And if you've already had it happening here, this is your weakest point. Already damaged slightly from multiple squeezes. So what I think I see, and it's very hard without being in the water, but a lot of us also hold tension here. It's a sort of a subconscious protective mechanism, or it's girls have got to have flat bellies to be beautiful. We're not allowed to put on weight, we're not allowed to be curvy, we're not allowed to do all of this stuff. Or there's a sense of I'm vulnerable. Something that when you feel vulnerable, this is where you hold it, this is where you tighten up. And a lot of us do this as well. And this is something that needs a little bit more investigation by you, or I could help you with that. Oh, there's the neighbour's dog has just turned up. Hello, Taylor. To figure out what that is and how to undo that tendency, that sort of habitual thought cycle that feeds into the body, and then the body feeds it back to the mind. See, you're not safe, so then you tense up even more. So my sense is that it's something around that, subconscious, unconscious tension, fear, anxiety, not safe, feel vulnerable. There's tension and tightness here. It's possibly showing also in your legs, and then that is causing tension on the lungs. They can't compress, so the air can't come up, so you are then sucking, and with the tension that's already there because you're contracted, that's causing a squeeze.
That all makes a lot of sense. Everything.
Okay.
I guess I have to figure out how to release the tension or not have that tension anymore. But totally makes sense.
Okay, so one tip that I can give you is if somebody tells you to relax your belly, it just will not happen.
Totally. Yeah.
I don't even realize it's tense, so how do I begin to relax it? What I would suggest you do is you do a comedy fat belly. So you push it out on purpose. And then when you push that out, relax that, then you come to a neutral position rather than the tense, rigid abdominal wall. And you keep when you're diving, you slow your dives right down. I suggest you go to free immersion only, with or without fins, whatever feels comfortable, but you are really going down like this, super, super slow, and touch your belly. Is it soft? Is it contracted? And pushing it out and relaxing it. And you will probably come into some body awareness around everything that's happening in this zone. Pelvic floor through to ears, knees to ears even, and start to observe the tension. And you will relax it, and 2 seconds later it'll be back. And you'll relax it, and 2 seconds later. And this is why the dives need to happen really, really slowly, because you want at all costs to avoid repeating the squeeze, because that becomes a habit and a pattern. And avoid the moment where you instinctively want to pull air up. So the slower you go, the more chance you have to catch that moment of, oh, there it goes, I'm tense, push it out, relax it. You know, you can even do like a little floppy dance on the rope, be a jellyfish, be a seaweed, whatever it is, an octopus. Just really no tension anywhere. And then if you feel good to continue, you continue a little bit. And you notice what happens the moment before you get the urge to draw air up. Because probably there's tension here. There's a sensation here of there's not enough air. And so you're going to the instinctive, I'm going to suck air, rather than all I actually need to do is relax. And the relaxation will make the air available. The air is there at 20 meters. So the air will be available. You can also just start to change your body position so that the air can move more easily up towards your ears. And just, you know, play around in the water with different body position, just getting deeper and deeper very gradually, slowly. But the slower you dive, eyes closed, so that all your awareness is focused inwards, and really feel what's happening in your body. My feeling is that it's tension, which causes the lungs to stop compressing, which means that you have a sense that you can't equalize, and you're grasping for the reverse pack at depths where you don't need to.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. So wait, I'm gonna just turn on the light. I'll go back.
getting dark.
Thank you very much for that.
You're
It's
welcome.
gonna be very helpful. Are you coaching for free diving?
I'm not coaching in the water, so I do coach online. And what I find is that because it's all starting up here, that conversation and exploration together, actually it's almost as effective as being together in the water. So if you wanted to explore that, the sort of the foundation program is 3 sessions. And if you wanted to do something a bit bigger, you can combine it with the videos, or you could come into the 6-month journey, which is the group experience, where we also look at holistic lifestyle practices, my freediving coaching, and you get a lot of one-to-one time with me as well, twice a month. So the info is in the last email I sent out. There are three sort of options. So you could have a sort of a click and a read and a look around, and then if you wanted to book a one-to-one call with me just to chat things through, we can do that whenever you want.
Yeah, that'd be great. I was asking about free diving in the water, coaching in the water, because I think, it will be interesting to combine both.
Yeah, I'm getting so many inquiries. It's so funny, it comes in waves. It's like, oh, but I relocated to La Palma, over 18 months ago, and then the volcano erupted, and the beaches are closed because of the gases, and I'm being made homeless again because my house is about to be knocked down. So I'm really like,
It's too much. It's too much. I get it.
I'm getting the water at the moment. So for the moment, it's just online. But have a think, have a read, You know, Charlotte, well, Charlotte's not a free diver, but she was in the group. Casimir was in the group. He's done 6 months or so with me, 9 months with me. And yeah, I'd be happy to put you in touch with some other free divers who've worked with me online if you wanted to have a chat and see, like, does it really work? I don't know. Or just give it a
Okay, I
go.
will have a look to the previous email.
Yeah, and you know, it could also work with you know, if you arrange a trip to go to Dahab, that we do some preparation work to sort of get better awareness around what your motivators are. You know, because we are mostly motivated by our egos, which can be either limiting or driven by comparison, negative or positive comparison. But either way, it's not good. And what we want to do is to shift that to have motivators which come from our spirit, which is about curiosity, playfulness, expansion, and it's driven by something very pure and doesn't have that element of contraction or fear or judgment or any of the other kind of egoic mental shit that we buy. Yeah. So yeah, if you're interested, have a look. As I say, the journey I think will start in April, unless I really get into a pickle with my house and I need to postpone by another month. I'm not sure what's going to happen yet. But yeah, we'll be starting in spring. But I could also start one-to-one at any time.
Great.
It was
Great,
really
Sara.
you.
Thank you very much for this. I don't know, I can't start. Thank you for this. It was just like, okay, I'm gonna do a quick question. Recommend me something. It's been super helpful.
Yeah. No, I'd be happy to help, and I'm fairly confident that, you know, with a little bit more time and okay, so you know what is behind this tension here, you know, not feeling comfortable being vulnerable or whatever it might be, you know, I was chatting to, actually I had a one-to-one today with Casimir who came to the call, and we were talking about training. And I mean, we were talking about adaptation, but you know, a squeeze is, you know, not having a squeeze anymore is a sign of adaptation. And physical adaptation needs time. It's incremental. Yeah, you need to take time, you need to do the work, you need to put the appropriate stress on the body systems in order for them to adapt and develop in the way that you want, whether that's flexibility or strength or stamina, hypoxic tolerance. That all is directly related to time and appropriate training. Mindset shifts can happen like that. And a lot of the problems that people face in the water are directly related to a lack of ability to relax or a lack of awareness over relaxation. And if you can get to the source of that, of what is happening in the mind to prevent that, then what might seem like a really long road in terms of physical adaptation can actually happen much more quickly because you've gone to the source. And I think, you know, that's what I saw in my own experience of free diving, whereas people, you know, they would hit a block of mouthfeel or some other equalization or whatever it might have been. And I was just like, boom, 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 boom. And I don't know quite why I was given this gift of incredible awareness in the water, but I would see the problem and I would receive the solution at the same time. And so then the next dive I would be in, and what had been a problem in the previous dive, which if I'd have not had the mental solution, if I'd have focused purely on the physical, could have remained a problem for weeks or even months, the next dive it was gone. It was like, oh. And so I just kept on going and going and going, and I never had a squeeze. And until the very end of my career, you know, I didn't have a blackout either. So it's really like the mind is the source of everything, and it's so powerful, and it's so underestimated how much it impacts what we do and what we experience, and how powerful it can be when we start to work with it. So, okay, I'm
True.
going to you go and enjoy it. Yeah, this is what I'm really passionate about. So whether it's in the water or out of the water, like the mind is the key to everything. And I think that from what you've, the small amount that you told me this evening, that, it could be quite a simple flicking of a switch.
Thank you so much. Thank you, really.
Thank you for being here. I'll see you soon.
See you soon.
Take care.
Bye,
Bye-bye.
Sara.
Oh, Max, hello.
Oh.
Hi.